welcome. Nice to have you here. I'm happy that we both share curiosity when it comes to the topic of nervous system regulation. I have prepared a little bit of a mind map and some bullet points in regards to this whole topic, and I'd like to talk about it here and bring across a few key points so that we can create a little bit of clarity around what we're actually dealing with here, what we're actually talking about when we talk about nervous system and regulation or healing or balance and all of these words. Um, yes, talking about the nervous system has become a bit trendy over the last, let's say, 15 years, I would say. There's a bit more awareness in the mainstream in regards to, oh wow, we actually have an electric grid inside of our body. We're this like biological water bag, and inside of it, we've got this like skull that inside of its casing has this like weird mushy tissue that shoots and pops electrical signals to the body that seems to be responsible for keeping this whole thing running smoothly or not, to sending the right signals to the right spots at the right time or not. Especially when it doesn't do it is what interests most people when they stumble upon the topic of the nervous system, due to symptoms popping up: pains, aches, illnesses, mental, physiological, you name it, or emotional. The nervous system can be one of these like anchor topics that people at a certain point will stumble upon and see, oh wow, if I have gut problems, yes, it might be due to the food that I'm eating, and it might be due to the excessive stress that I have inside of my daily life, which then completely dysregulates the harmony inside of the system and actually disrupts a nice flow of the digestive tracts, as an example. The nervous system is, in the allopathic understanding, kind of dissected into the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system, saying that there's a more autonomous unit inside of the body that starts to regulate, for example, the heartbeat or the pressure inside of your vascular system and how the blood gets pumped through your body. There's all of these different mechanisms and functions that we seemingly don't have control over that are happening the whole time. Breath is maybe the example of, oh, it's happening the whole time throughout the day, and at certain moments I actually have control over it, and it's this more like lever point. The breath becomes a little bit of a lever point where, oh, it's happening automatic and I actually have conscious control over it. Maybe looking at the nervous system in a similar way, where there's certain things that we don't really have control over, and then other things that we very well have control over. And I'd like to shatter this idea of a dualistic nervous system a little bit, in the sense that there's a switch that says right now I'm relaxed and calm, rest and digest. I flip the switch over, now I'm in fight, flight, freeze. Now I'm like alert and switched on to potential dangers in my surroundings. I much more rather use the example of kind of like a dim switch. I don't know if you have ever used a lamp like this, where you've got a light and then you can dim the light exactly to the kind of temperature that you want. And I would definitely put the nervous system into a similar category as like a dim light. That the nervous system at every single instance and every single moment is kind of in this fluctuation. Imagine a wave that goes and then goes abruptly and then goes back into calm and then go back into very still and then goes abruptly again. It's kind of looking at a dog, for example. A dog goes into like full rest and digest, laying around, not doing much, relaxing, and from one moment to the next, barking, running, jumping, like bang, the energy is right there. And then as fast as the energy was rising, it can go back down again. So we have a way more dynamic fluctuation of energy when we talk about the nervous system. Um, and I'm super intrigued and passionate about thinking about how can we actually navigate that? How can we build resilience inside of that? How can we build sensitivity towards the nervous system as a dynamic fluctuation, rather than the nervous system as an on and off switch for relaxing and tensing, relaxing and tensing. Um, for example, my mother has been going through a rehabilitation process in Germany, and she shared a couple of things that she learned during rehab And one of them is a technique called a Jakobson relaxation technique, where you kind of tense all of the muscles in your body, and then you relax all of it at the same time. I think it's okay to teach someone what it means to hold on really tight and then relax fully. Yet, I think it's way more important to understand how we move from one extreme to the other extreme and everything that happens in between these two extremes, that whole dynamic range. There is an absolute necessity to build some form of foundational vocabulary when talking or even thinking about the nervous system. I really like this whole small saying, like, naming it is taming it. Let's say you're emotionally very disturbed and you don't have a word to actually describe what's happening inside of you, what you're feeling and what you're sensing. This might very well lead to like some incredible overwhelm because you don't even know what it is that is quote unquote wrong with you. You just wake up in the morning and you dart from one thing to the next, and then you think about your to-do list, you think about the things you couldn't do yesterday, and then you only have 30 more minutes until you have to be at work, and it's just going ding 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 ding. Maybe there's not even the awareness and the sensitivity to be able to name it as overwhelm. But once we have that word, overwhelm in that case, and we're able to name it, to name the experience and create a context using vocabulary, this instance, it's the vocabulary as a word. Suddenly, we are able to kind of ground ourselves and especially the rational mind in an understanding of what's going on. And that's so important. Otherwise, from my experience, I'm just bouncing in that limbo of misunderstanding myself and not being able to listen and attend to myself and what is happening right now. Naming it is taming it. This kind of links into the second point that I wrote down when it comes to building a vocabulary, and that's the concept of revelation, especially self revelation. When something reveals itself to you, it shows itself to you. For revelation to happen, there needs to be an openness and there needs to be a dropping and letting go of everything that I think that I know that something is. In order for things to reveal themselves to me, I need to drop all of the preconceived ideas of what a thing actually is so that it itself from itself can reveal itself to me. To keep it simple, I'm saying self-revelation is a process and a state and that you are in, rather than an endpoint saying I want to become self-realized and completely revealed towards life. It's not like an endpoint where you're going, it's rather the process. Same as the nervous system is a process, a dynamic process. The self revelation is a process and a state, a momentary state that you can enter into at any given moment. You see, there's a little bit of an ongoing, a little bit non-dual theme where it's like, oh, it's about the moment. It's about connecting with what is. It's about seeing it for what it is. In this case, nervous system, the body, the fluctuation of energy. Am I all riled up, all up in my head right now? Or am I all crammed up and gutted about something and I have this nasty feeling in my belly because I didn't tell my friend yesterday that he fucked up? Or that I didn't tell my partner that I actually really didn't like the way that she talked to me this morning. Whatever it is that we were not fully allowing to receive in the moment and allowed it to reveal itself to us. Let's say my partner has spoken to me not nicely this morning and I didn't like it. Am I kind of not really feeling it, not really looking at it, and not really naming it for what it is, and allowing the whole situation, my body and my inner sense of myself included, to reveal itself to me? I might as well then just shove it somewhere in the body and start cranking up and start tensing up and start holding it together, controlling the situation, rather than completely allowing it to just pass through as an experience and naming it for what it is. I dislike that. I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm upset. Wow, I'm standing in self revelation. I'm allowing myself to be revealed to myself. This is me. There's nothing wrong with it. This is how the nervous system, when it senses threat, kind of linking into the next crucial point, the nervous system as like a threat detector. The nervous system detects something that is not safe for us to experience. There's a tiger in the bush about to pounce on us, and we have to be alert. We have to look, where's the tiger? What is the tiger? Are there multiple tigers? In this case, the tiger would be someone not respecting my boundaries, someone stepping over the boundaries that I've set. I don't like this. Please don't do this. And the person does it anyway and oversteps the boundary. That's a tiger. That's an absolute tiger. Or for me, maybe it's because of German heritage. I'm not quite sure. I hate coming too late to work. I just hate it. And for a long time, I tried understanding it until it's just allowing it for what it is. I hate coming too late to work, so I'm kind of preparing myself even the evening before so that the next day I can go early and arrive 5 minutes earlier to make everything kind of smooth. I love that stuff. That keeps me calm. But as soon as I'm coming too late, there's the tiger. Maybe at school there was things going on with my teacher, or my parents were not happy when I come too late, blah blah blah. Whatever the story from the past is, not talking too big about trauma here, that's a tiger for me. And because I allowed it to reveal itself to me, I allowed to name and tame it. I hate coming too late. That stresses me. It increases my sympathetic response. It puts my kidneys under stress and gets that cortisol flowing. We can talk science here. But all of that aside, that's the tiger. I don't like it. So I'm through that revelation, allowing it to pass through, and I can act accordingly and take good care of myself. What can happen if we don't take good care of ourselves? Let's say I keep forgetting about that. I come too late to work. That stresses me out. My interactions with people don't flow nicely. I'm taking a coffee because I feel like, everything is moving so fast. I want to keep up with it and drink a coffee. That's usually what Aisha, my girlfriend, tells me, like, oh, when the world is moving so fast, I feel like I need to move faster in order to keep up with it. There's something that can happen where there's some form of interconnected loop that happens in which our physical sensations, the fluctuation of our mental body, how our thoughts and our mind moves, and what kind of thought patterns we are allowing to uh, move and infuse themselves into our actions, as well as the emotional body and the charge, and let's say the sensory experience that we have in our physicality gets tainted and colored by all of these beautiful colors of emotions: anger, sadness, happiness, joy, disgust, grief, overwhelm, you name it, you tame it. Whatever emotion there is can paint the entire picture. And these three, the physiological sensory body, the the mental patterns and the mental body, and the coloration of the emotional body, these three can kick themselves and keep themselves in like a cage, like in an absolute loop, where one, let's say, negative experience that we don't really want to name and tame, that we don't really want to be revealed to us and saying, fuck, that's me, that can trigger the next one. Let's say we have a sensation in our body. I've had a lot of chronic pain in my life. When that sensation comes up in my body, there's immediately a trigger that happens where my mental body goes, "Oh fuck that! I'm not gonna feel that. I don't want to feel that stuff." Say shoulder pain. I don't want to feel that stuff. I'm holding my shoulder a little bit different. I stop using my left arm as much just because the shoulder is weak. I'd rather use my right hand to do things. So there's an avoidance. That avoidance leads to like a specific thought pattern that says, fuck that, I'm not going to deal with that, which then leads to a very specific emotional pattern that, for example, says, oh man, I'm not good enough. I'm broken. I'm injured. I'm self pity, like, wow, what am I even good for in this world if I, can't even lift things with my left arm? Suddenly, one thing, one sensation, one pain, or one injury can trigger a cascade of things, then in which we just kind of get trapped in a cycle, in a loop in which we just avoid, and we keep avoiding, and it keeps piling and it keeps building, and these things can grow into like very, very interesting, like complex structures that have multiple foundations and multiple pillars and multiple levels and floors and ceilings. Most of the time, it's a house of cards, though, because when one of these things kind of gets pulled out of, and we can't kind of contain and control that cage that we've created of self avoidance, that entire thing collapses, and usually we get triggered, and that's when things get nasty, and no one likes that. And I think lots of us have experienced situations like this Well, one small thing, click, and the entire thing starts to crumble down. We think, fuck, my life is an absolute mess. I'm absolutely not able to deal with this stuff. This is kind of like getting close to that panic attack state where the nervous system for so long has been dysregulated. When I say dysregulated, I'm not saying it's kind of stuck in one way. We didn't allow a natural dynamic fluctuation between the rest digest, fight or flight. We need both of them. As long as there's no dynamic flow between them, that's when it's dysregulated, when there's no more movement in there. That's when stuff like panic attacks or lethargy and depression on the other end, let's say panic attack on one side, fuck, explosion, and absolute lethargy on the other side, like, huh, what's the point of life? I don't want to move. I don't want to deal with these things. Opposite ends of one spectrum, a spectrum that loves to flow, a spectrum that loves to be experienced in its fullness. I hope I'm getting a point across here. Just to recap the first couple points, what's the nervous system? I talked about it heaps here. Second point, creating and building a vocabulary to be able to name it, tame it, and share our experience with us and then with others, stepping into a field of beautiful co-regulation. I don't know if you've had that. Someone listens to your problems and you immediately feel better. You're like, fuck, thank God I have friends, or my parents, someone, work colleagues, someone to listen to my problems. And you immediately feel better if someone can give you that listening, that space holding, and compassion, saying, fuck, that must be hard to go through that. I'm sorry to hear. Would you like to have a solution? I can give you solutions. Oh my god, it's so good. Immediately the entire system feels safe. We got someone, an ally, to deal with the problem, whatever the problem or the tiger in the bush is in that situation. Um, this is where I'd like to introduce. I'm talking co-regulation here. I don't want to talk too much about co-regulation or the importance of social connection in order to keep that nervous system in a healthy rhythm. I'd much rather talk about the lone wolves out there. Like I talk about me as a lone wolf, and maybe you as a lone wolf as well. The situations where no one is there to listen. The situations in which there is not the courage to talk to someone. The situation in which you're alone, in which I am alone, in which there's just life sucks. You're in the pit. You're in the cave of life. How to get out of it if it's all just fucked? These are the three tools that I've been passed down by friends and teachers, and they just keep getting better and better the more I use them and the more I refine using them. These three tools are acceptance, curiosity, compassion. These three can work wonders. Kind of in that order, I would use them as well. I would call them the three gateways to healing, or like the three gateways to anchor us in the present moment, to allow the natural flow of life to occur. The first one would be acceptance. We can talk about this forever. There's so many books written on the topic of acceptance, many spiritual teachings, the, let's say, philosophy and psychology side of the Western way of thinking is starting to catch on to it as well, talking about the major importance of acceptance. Maybe even if we go into the realm of neurobiology, looking how something like acceptance, we're remembering that's an inner state. Acceptance is something that we choose. It's a choice in the moment to accept the things in life as they are, to accept life as it is, to accept yourself as you are right now. That's a choice. It's a choice point that can only be accessed in the moment. You can't really say, I'm going to accept it next week. I used to accept it two weeks ago. That's not real acceptance. Acceptance is here and now. Therefore, acceptance turns into some form of gate or portal, a gateway into the moment where you're like, fuck, I'm stressed. You're stressed in the morning. As I said, oh, you wake up, you already have 5 to-do lists, you need to rush 30 minutes until you need to be at work. Can I accept this and just experience this overwhelm for 5 seconds? Acceptance kind of equivalent to allowing to experience. Accepting, allowing, very close, like brother and sister. Acceptance becomes a gateway into the moment. And through acceptance, saying, okay, this is me. Okay, this is how it is. Okay, this is how my relationship is. This is how my job is. I'm accepting it right now. This opens the door for curiosity. What else is there? What else do I need to see? What else can I allow to reveal itself to me? Oh, my job sucks. Oh, wow, I'm staying in the job because I'm quite afraid of actually changing my job. I'm staying in the job because I'm very afraid of not having money. Suddenly, from accepting one thing and bringing in curiosity, the second point, from that, so much more can grow. Where it's like, wow, I'm really discovering things here when I'm accepting, I'm allowing to just see it. And I see more and more the more I ask, what else is there? What else have I not been feeling? What else have I been thinking that kind of just like I try to swat away like flies, but it's been there the whole time. What else is inside of me? What else am I, and how do I choose to relate to this world? Super curious. Inviting curiosity here is incredible. There will be one thing after another that reveals itself if you decide to step into a process like this. And I'm doing it every day. I'm giving my absolute best every day to accept the things as they are and to remain in curiosity. All right, show me more. What else can I accept? I'm not saying that's all it is that you do. It's more like that's a tool that is right there in order to deal with situations in a specific way. Let's say there's a situation, small side note, a situation in which you just can't accept it. It's too much. Fuck that person that messed me up. I can't accept that they did that to me. I just can't accept that I'm the victim in this situation. I can't accept it that I'm losing this game, whatever the game is. In a situation like this, in which there is not the capacity to accept, I think it's entirely okay to suppress, to strategically suppress the overwhelm, to strategically suppress the pain that is required to be felt in order to accept, because acceptance is not always nice. It's most often very, very not nice. It's going to be painful. It's going to be sad. It's going to be disappointing. It's going to be a lot of grief. A lot of grief. Like, fuck, I'm accepting myself and these kind of bad choices that I made for most of my life. That's grief. That's a lot of grief. And when I'm not able to feel that grief and it's way too much, I'm way too defensive and angry. I got my guards up. No, I'm still fighting. I'm still fighting. It's too much to fight. I'm already dysregulated. I think it's entirely okay to have a strategical suppression of the situation. We all do it, but not strategic, I think. Most people don't do it strategic at all. Watching Netflix, eating lots of chocolate. That's me, for example. Bad foods, oh no, let's not say bad food, just like very stimulating foods. Lots of movies, video games. People do it with exercise. People do it with work, workaholic type of situation, constantly staying busy to not rest and calm and actually feel what's under the hood. There's many ways in which we are suppressing what's going on, and I think we can still not remain, but we can still use these tools. Let's say Netflix is a tool, scrolling on social media is a tool, eating a bunch of chocolate is a tool that we can use in order to cope and deal with something that's too much. And I think it's a great tool. I think it's awesome. And I know that my system, my body has created incredible strategies to cope and not accept and not deal with the things as they are. Incredible. For me, it was literally sensation inside of the body, like using sensation as a way to escape. People have, for example, like addiction to sex or masturbation, like super intense sensation. For me, it was chronic pain. In a very weird way, I needed that pain, that physical chronic pain and injury in my body, in order to give myself the excuse to remain in the victim state and to not take action and feel empowered in my life and move forward and step forward and allow regulation to happen, allow a more dynamic flow of life to happen. Life needed to be this cage in which I'm kind of protected from the uncertainty and unpredictability of life going like this. Because I will never know how high it is and I will never know how low it is, but all I know is that it actually moves. And if I move with it, it just keeps moving. It never stays the same. Something inside of me wanted it to stay the same. And I get tight and stiff and I get pain and I get injury. And that becomes suddenly, my card to cop out. So it can be strategic. I'm going a bit off tangent here, but it's very important stuff. Let's bring it back to the three tools: acceptance, curiosity, and compassion. I haven't talked about compassion yet. Compassion would be offering kindness to the inner experience of yourself. It's very easy to be kind to someone else, at least for me, where it's like, of course you can come too late. Don't worry about these 5 minutes. Or, of course I can lend you $20. Don't worry about it. There you go. It's very easy to be kind to other people for me. It's incredibly difficult to be kind to myself. Let's say I'm not arriving on time. I miss a deadline. I don't have enough money. I skipped a workout. Whatever it is in which I fucked up, usually my mental body goes immediately into fuck, you're not good enough. You mess that one up. You're never gonna make it. You always kind of get stuck here. You're not gonna outgrow yourself if you're lazy. Why are you lazy? Like all of that chatter goes on in my mind, which is super not compassionate. It's actually very self harming. And I think once there's acceptance, which brings you in the present moment, and curiosity, oh, what else is there? Every single time something comes up like that, we can apply compassion on top of it. We can apply compassion as a healing balm. Like, wow, you're never gonna make it. Okay, I'm accepting that. Fuck, that sucks to think in a way like this. It's really not nice, and it must be quite difficult to think in this way and to pity yourself in that way. I'm sorry that you have to go through this. This would be the kind of voice that I'm using for self compassion. Like, fuck, that sucks. I'm sorry. I'm sorry you have to go through this. I'm sorry you have to deal with this. I'm sorry you had to deal with this alone by yourself back then. This is the kind of voice of compassion that we can use as a tool inside of ourselves to soothe and heal the wound that has been revealed, that has been kind of opened up. This is more going into the realm of releasing trauma as well when working with the nervous system, allowing the fluctuation to happen and arise. This is usually when the kinked up energy immediately wants to release and flows into that one kink inside of the body, mind, and heart that has been just held the longest, and the things start to bubble up kind of in reverse order how we experience them. It's huge. It's not easy, and it's definitely not for everybody. Um, and it's, in my opinion, completely romanticized. It fucking sucks. It fucking sucks to do this work. Yet it is so rewarding to let go and release of something that has kept the entire human system in a loop and stuck and dysregulated. These would be my tools for exploration. When I say exploration, I mean exploring the body with acceptance, curiosity, and compassion. Number one is journaling. This can take on many forms, would be a topic for another video. Second one is naming and taming, could be combined with journaling, and gentle observation, soft breathing, all of these kind of tools that we learn in the world of yoga and qigong can be great to assist in the anchoring, even meditation. So next time you feel overwhelmed, try asking what's happening right now. Can I stay with this experience just for another 10 seconds? Can I accept it? Can I be curious if there's more? Can I even apply compassion and say, fuck, I'm sorry. Fuck, I'm sorry you have to go through this. One of the last steps in this kind of mind map that I've outlined here is, once there's some form of base level of um, skill to navigate the dynamic flow of energy inside of the body, the dynamic flow of nervous system inside of the body. This is the time when I think it's of highest priority to build tolerance and resilience through gradual and strategic exposure of stress towards the body. This is a very fancy way of saying you gotta start moving, exercise, working out, breath work, cold exposure, running, swimming, working with your posture. Like, I'm talking biomechanics, like targeting the weak links inside of the body, making them stronger so this whole thing can stand and breathe more open. These are all things in which we kind of build tolerance and resilience towards the arousal. of the nervous system. Let's say I'm in a regulated state. When I say regulated, I'm allowing the ups and downs come and go, and I feel up for it, and I've got the energy, and I say, yeah, I can deal with these things. I can deal with these things. I can deal with these things, and I can deal with these things. For example, breath work, going 3 rounds, Wim Hof style breath work, intense, hyperventilative stuff. Doing that for a specific amount of time, for several rounds, arousing the system deliberately, and inside of that arousal, using the tools that we have to ground ourselves into the experience, naming, taming, etc., etc. And then maybe even going into a cold shower afterwards and shocking everything like, fuck, that's cold. Yet not completely being swayed by it and rather remaining centered inside of the experience is the best way to train the nervous system to be capable and to train ourselves to work with the fluctuation inside of the nervous system. To stand inside of that cold shower or that ice bath, even though it's freezing and it sucks and it's painful, breathing, being calm, everything is fine. I am safe when going through these things. That's gonna keep the body resilient and balanced. It's gonna grow the body. It's gonna expand the field of experience. Let's say you start lifting weights and it's very intense, but you keep breathing and relaxing into it and you do it and you're sore the next day and you can lift more. It's exactly the same thing that happens with the nervous system. We're gonna be able to endure more. We're gonna be able to regulate better. We're gonna be able to ride even bigger waves more smoothly and more effortlessly. So all of these practices, breath work, movement, qigong, working with your posture, food, nutrition, hydration, light exposure, and sleep. These are more the nurturing sides to keep the whole system in balance. Let's say not going for the building tolerance, but rather softening the tolerance. All of these things, no matter how small or big or how persistent or not, every small investment, you can think of these practices as deposits into your nervous system's bank account. Every single time you do something like this and you manage to go through it, you will grow and it will go into that bank account, and it's one with interest. It will keep growing. It will keep growing. It will keep growing. It just requires consistency. All of this can be integrated into the daily life, and it's not easy, and it requires a lot of patience and very small gradual steps and gradual changes, especially if you haven't done any of this stuff before. If you've never journaled, if you've never done breath work, if you've never had really intense, authentic conversations with someone talking about the things that have been stuck here, very intense stuff. If you've never done this before, it's a lot of work. And it's not going to be 1 week, 1 month, 2 months, 1 year, 2 years, and it's all done and fixed. No, this will be a lifelong journey to find and ride that balance, to find the Tao, to find the way in between, to be able to navigate the seas of life. That's the practice. That's what we're here to do. And I hope that all of this has helped you in some way or form. I'm more than happy to create more stuff like this, just me talking, ranting, preparing a little bit of a couple of points and just free flowing with it. I hope this kind of helps all of my clients and friends, you, whoever is watching it. Maybe there were a couple of nuggets in here that were helpful. Maybe there's something that you can apply straight away. There's so much more that can be said to this topic, and I'm incredibly passionate about this. And I talk about this every day. I think about it every day. I write about it every day, and I'm not anywhere near to the degree of understanding where I see myself. So, if you've got any points to add, any let's say feedback or criticism or anything that you'd like to point out, like say, hey, G, when you said that one thing that's actually not right, just let me know. I'd love to learn. I'd love to improve on this. And if there's something in particular that stood out, please let me know as well. The things that really hit home for you. I'm super curious about you and your journey, curious about me and my journey, and putting my energy towards helping everybody as best as I can to find that balance point, that sweet, sweet, sweet spot where life is allowed to just go up and down and to be fully experienced in both sides, in both directions with a smile, saying, fuck, that's it. That's life, and that's life. And I love it. All the best.